Okay, this is Orlando Wilson. What I want to talk about on this video is working in hostile controlled environments. And this is a question that a few people have bounced off me. Whether it's working in areas controlled by terrorists, controlled by narcos, controlled by organized crime. That's what we class as areas controlled by hostiles. Can it be done? Well, not really. I mentioned something in one of my other videos about working alone, which I detail the story about Eastern Europe, so check that video out. But for some fresh stories here, the answer is the only way you're going to be able to work in an area that is controlled by criminals, terrorists, etc., is to pay them, to have a roof, to have a connection that can vouch for you. So if they see you're up to stuff, you're not going to end up getting robbed, raped, or killed, or all three. Small story. Years ago, I was doing stuff in Haiti. I spent a fair bit of time in Haiti, and we needed to go into Cité du Soleil. And Cité du Soleil at the time was bad area. I think it's the biggest ghetto in the Western Hemisphere. The only way we could go into Cité du Soleil, and we were armed, I had cops working with me, was to pick up one of the local kids, one of the local gang members, go to one of the gang leaders that sat outside the slum, give him a few bucks so one of his guys could get in the car with us. So when we drove around, we had a gang member with us. That way we've paid our dues. If not, the brand new Toyota Pradas we had would be coming out at least not looking very new after being stoned, if we're lucky. So this is where the only way you're going to operate in areas that's controlled by criminals or terrorists is to pay people off or have what's classed as a roof. If you don't have the roof, it's not going to work. You can go in with all the guns. You know what? They control the entry points, they control the exit points, they control the roads, they take the taxes, and they have a lot more guns than you do. Classic examples is NGOs. NGOs working in terrorist areas such as Syria. How does a Western NGO work in an ISIS or whoever's there now, al-Nusra controlled area in Syria? Well, they're going to have to pay their dues. Do you think the bad guys are that stupid as to let an NGO into an area, especially a Western NGO, unless there's something in it for them? And again, how can an NGO, which very much these days have been weaponized and are known to be the eyes and ears of a lot of intelligence agencies, why will a terrorist group allow such an NGO to operate in their areas? Well, it's mutually beneficial. I know there was a lot of dirt thrown around about one Irish NGO in Syria, and I think they're still there. Why? Because they were paying off the bad guys. They were paying off the bad guys with aid, etc., etc. Were they working for the US, UK, etc., giving aid in return for favors, intelligence, etc.? Maybe. Classic example is the White Helmets. The White Helmets were set up by a British military officer. They operated in all the bad areas, all the ISIS, al-Nusra areas of Syria. So how can an NGO set up by a British army officer be able to operate freely everywhere? Were they funneling cash to the bad guys? I'll put it this way: if you're a terrorist, you're going to let somebody that's supposedly your opposition, a member of your opposition, like a British military officer, like a Westerner in general, run an NGO in your area? Not really. There has to be something in it for you. Same with parts of Somalia, or most of the Al-Shabaab controlled parts of Somalia. Anybody doing business there has to pay a tax, whether you're an NGO, corporation, etc. The NGOs want their food aid to get through to where they need to get through to. They have to pay a tax. That's it. If they don't, the food ain't getting, the food's not moving, and they're not doing business. And people forget NGOs are business. They have to do their part, or else they don't get their donations, they don't get their money. And NGOs make a lot of money. A lot of the board directors of a lot of NGOs, just for being there and being important, they don't get a salary, but they get well commissioned. Very well commissioned. If you don't believe me, check out the Red Cross's headquarters in the United States. There should be pictures online. People aren't working for nothing. So, the only way you're going to operate in a criminal area, let's say a narco area, you cruise into a narco area of Mexico, you start playing bodyguard or whatever, they're just going to round you up and shoot you. You're in their area, if you're lucky. They control the hotels, they control everything. You're not going to be there doing anything without them knowing and without their permission. You might think you're a tough guy because you got a 9mm on you. They got a lot more guns. So, if you're going into those areas, you have to be very, very careful, because this is where you can get caught out. If you're paying people for security in those areas, if you're paying narcos, if you're paying terrorists, you can be done yourself for providing material support to terrorism. Check my video on an article on if it's legal to pay ransoms. So this is where, if you have to go into one of those areas and people are asking for a tax, you have to pay a recognized terrorist organization. This is where you need to be up to speed on your threat assessments about what's a recognized terrorist organization in those areas. If you end up paying those and getting found out, even if you're doing it for the right reasons, you yourself can end up in a lot of trouble. So you have to be very careful. As I said just now, forget about steaming in there with firearms, because the bad guys have a lot more guns than you have, and they control the area. If there's law enforcement there, they control the law enforcement. They can control the judges, they control everything. So, no easy answer apart from pay, but be careful if you pay. So, I hope that answers a few questions. I got various books online to do with various aspects of the security business. Intelligence, close protection, counter-terrorism, etc. We're also throwing up a lot more of these videos. And if you've got any specific questions, let me know, and I'll try to answer them. And again, if you have any requests for videos, let us know. It's a lot easier for me to throw up these videos than it is to sit down and write these days. So check out the information we got online, check out the articles, follow us on social media, and again, stay safe, stay out of trouble. As far as working in hostile controlled areas, do your threat assessments, be very, very careful. You could end up in a lot of trouble. I say in another video, you pay once, you pay again. You get into those areas, one thing getting in, it's another thing getting out. So be very careful. Remember, you pay once, you pay again. And some jobs, even though you're promised a golden paycheck at the end, might not be worth the trouble, because you can literally end up being chopped up with your client, or end up getting your ass thrown in jail for an extended period of time. So be good, stay out of trouble, and keep it real.